gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let your girl that time forgot. She just shakes her wrist. She's falling too far with salt in her scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far. The girl that time forgot. Wasted moments, full of potential that torments. An angel in disguise, but he can see your Aberdeen heart, London eyes, Glasgow bones. She's a whistle in the catacombs, a paradox. Oh, he's in love with the statue in a marble block. He's in love with the girl that time forgot. She just shakes her wrist. She's falling too far with salt in her scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far. The girl that time forgot. That time forgot.
gentlemen, hello and welcome to The Drop. This is our 4th episode, and we'll start by asking everyone how their weekend was. Kwame, I spent the weekend with you a little bit, so I'll go ahead and start off with you. How was your weekend, man?
Weekend was interesting. So, for those that don't know, it was the Storm Cup this weekend, and that ran on Saturday. But for the first time in my life, when I probably never do it again, most likely going to be the last, I took a bus at midnight to an event that started at 10:30/11, and it was like a 10-hour bus ride. So, got off the bus, commuted there from like by Uber and train, casted, got Korean barbecue, got back home to the Storm house to stay up and watch our first topic, Neeb, in the semifinals. And then, ended up getting on a bus like maybe 5 hours after that to go back home. And that was my weekend.
No rest for the wicked.
Sick. It was sick. Yeah, man. Sleep is for the weak. And that's why it was the weekend, baby.
Yeah. Hoot with the owls, soar with the eagles.
It was it was nice.
Jessica, you were at a TwitchCon, right?
That's correct.
How was that?
It was all right. I mean, they did a lot of cool stuff. The after party was in a baseball field, which is cool. But it's interesting because it's not any sports events. It's variety Twitch events. So it was fine. It was fun.
And Neuro, anything special you got up to this fine weekend?
Well, I've had an amazing week joining Root, getting coached, and then having a huge upswing on ladder. I was stuck in Masters for like 2 months, and I got coached, and basically my decision-making was full autopilot. Like, I wasn't thinking about the matchups and countering my opponent's strategy. I was just kind of spamming units and hoping for the best. So that's reaped some really great reward. Stream has been excellent, plus the Amazon Prime stuff.
Oh, you man. I got to ask, who did you get coaching from?
Juno.
Oh, yeah.
So Juno coaches a bunch of like pro tier players. He's not just like a GMO player who coaches people who are enthusiasts. He coaches other pro gamers. He's very much up to taps with what the Koreans are doing, what Neeb is doing, and why. So he's been helping me for the past year or so, but the last session was really, really helpful.
Nice.
Yeah, he spent a lot of time in the MVP house, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
Living there, practicing, yeah. So he definitely seems like a guy that could have some wisdom to impart.
For sure.
Well, speaking of what Neeb is doing, let's go ahead and jump into our first topic here. I think it's been done to death a little bit at this point, but we can't really avoid it. So Neeb won Kespa Cup. He's the first American, or the first non-Korean rather, since to win a Korean event. So it's been over a decade and a half now. Anyone have any just kind of like first reactions? I know we've all said USA, but
yeah. Well, I was made into a Neeb fan at DreamHack Austin. He was playing against Hydra in the finals, and the crowd was so much in Neeb's favor, and it just seems like he has a very humble and genuine passion for StarCraft. Like, he's not in it to be famous or to be glorious. He's in it because he really loves the game and he wants to get better at the game. So it's super easy to cheer for Neeb. And seeing him swing with the best players in the world and win was really amazing. One thing that I noticed in his play that separates him from some of his opponents is he would emphasize information where a lot of people would emphasize army value. So he would spend supply on multiple oracles pretty much every game so that he saw his opponent's army, which allowed him to outmaneuver them and take better engagements with sometimes pure disruptors, fewer army value. It was really nice.
Any other strong reactions before we kind of get into the meat of it?
Nah, man, overall, it was just sick. I am actually pretty sad because I missed the finals itself, and it was like the first time that I really woke up to Twitter in a long time and have it completely like catch me by surprise, because I actually didn't know they were going to play both. I didn't know that was like that night,
Yeah, like you thought. I thought the same thing, that it was just the semis that night.
Yeah. So I wake up and people are just like, base card Neeb. And I'm like, oh, nice. He made it to the finals. Sweet. And, I see the memes and like Reddit even said like, congrats to the winner of Kespa Cup and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to get spoiled by Twitter. Cause like usually I'm on top of it. And it was actually cool because it wasn't Neeb himself, and I had stayed up the night before. Half the reason why I was like so dead that actual day. I don't know. I was actually really, really cool. And I was very, very happy. I'm just like, no. But I was sad at the same time because I didn't get to see it. But
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard you watching the VODs earlier, Jessica, but it's it's not the same catching the VODs. I'm not sure who caught it live and who just kind of had to catch up on a replay. But I want to hop in and talk about, there was kind of like a build-up to Neeb becoming the foreign hope. And it started with, I think, seeing him play online in like a lot of base trade events and just doing really well there and beating people that like Neeb as like the 2015, 2014 Terran probably wouldn't have beaten. So
gosh, I mean, he's probably Terran in 2013.
Yeah, I guess the late Terran, the early Protoss, but like the hot Neeb, I guess we could say, wouldn't have beaten. Like just dominating stuff like Ting of the Hill, and what were some other early results he had that made people take notice?
That's a good question. I remember Ting of the Hill, but that was actually when he was well known for being like super, super good. I'm not sure what Neeb's rise to power was.
I don't know. Was it like ladder mostly? And then like it was just been like, oh, this dude Neeb is just killing kids on ladder. How much did he actually compete?
Well, he won the first WCS Challenger because he won them all. So he was doing like really well as early as that, and I think he did well in a bunch of beta stuff. Oh God, I should have. But anyways, Neeb did super well leading up to this, and there's kind of been this build up that I think DreamHack Austin was like his first offline event that he did really, really well in, and he took second there. And it seemed like it's just been this rocket ship to the top, and people were saying, oh, he's like having mental problems in that semifinals finals scenario, having trouble breakthrough, and he finally managed to break through, and it's crazy because he broke through like in an event that was a Korean event, like his first win.
Nobody expected it.
Yeah, his first win was the most stacked thing outside of GSL.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it is the environment of being an online competitor versus at offline events. There's a lot more noise and stress and pressure when you're on a stage. The crowd is cheering for you. He said at DreamHack Austin that when people would shout "Neeb" all together, it was very distracting. Like he's smirking, he likes it, but he's trying to focus on the game, and there's so much noise. So I think part of his rise to success with Kespa Cup being kind of the ultimate is just him putting in more volume of practice on stage where it is more noisy and more stressful to get used to that atmosphere.
Yeah, so basically, y'all that cheer for him, it's your fault that he didn't win WCS. Let that sink in just a little bit. And, before you start cheering for your favorite players, really think about the implications that it just might have.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there like a moment in Austin when the crowd went wild when he held off Hydra? And like it looked like he like reacted to that and blinked in and just lost absolutely everything riding up, like when the crowd works against you, basically.
You can feel it though, yeah. It's in any sport, it's just like that adrenaline. StarCraft 2 is like stimulating in so many different ways that adding the crowd to it, it's probably, I've only been on stage on a big stage once. That was at like Red Bull, and I knew I was going to lose. It was against Apocalypse, and I had like a nidus, an overgrowth, I think it was, and I could hear like the kind of energy, you could just feel it because I don't know, just how it is on those events. And I'm like, oh my God, maybe I'm about to do this, and I'm just like going in, I'm just like trying to micro around, and I'm forgetting everything else, like not even rallying to the nidus in my main and stuff, but just that little short burst of energy, I think, and kind of have an effect on you for sure.
Well, if we take a look at the bracket, I don't think anyone can deny that it was a pretty brutal bracket. Neeb went through Zest, Rogue, Pet, Stats, and Trap, but I guess the one standout thing is he dodged all the Korean Terrans, right? And I think a lot of people were saying like his kryptonite in this tournament could have been TY. Mm-hmm. But it seems like when it comes to PvZ and PvP, he might be like top 3 in the world. And I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts of like is Neeb the best PvPer right now? Does he is there something he needs to master before he goes to that WCS finals in Anaheim in, just like a month now.
One thing that is really useful to consider with tournament results is that a single day's event has like the human condition as a really big factor. So Neeb could have just been in really great condition and some of his opponents were in worse. For the BlizzCon finals, condition matters a lot, especially for Koreans who are going to be traveling to the US. So a lot of it comes down to who's having the better day rather than who is on paper the better player. Because a tournament is a pretty small sample size of games. Like you only play a best of 3 or a best of 5. Versus if they played a best of 69 or whatever, maybe one player is better, but on that day they were in worse condition and ended up losing. Memes.
All right. Well, I think, like I said, it's kind of been talked about to death, this Neeb topic. So does anyone have any final thoughts before we move on?
I hope to see how he does at the BlizzCon event, because I think his group, he had a bunch of Protoss in there too. I think he's dodging Terran once again when I was looking at it.
Yeah, Neeb's group for that will be Zest, Snoot, Patience, and Neeb. So
yeah,
kind of a group of death there.
It's still a group of death, I think. So if he can make it out of that, then it's like another test to see exactly, can he be consistent in that?
Yeah, I mean, following up a Kespa Cup win with a good showing at BlizzCon could definitely cement him as the top foreigner right now. But speaking of foreigners, a lot of them got signed, and a lot of Koreans this week. Yeah. So I want to just kind of run through the signings that took place. My Insanity picked up Beastie Cutie and Shadone. Shadone was at DreamHack Montreal. He made it, like, taking out a bunch of people that, like, I think on paper he shouldn't have. But he had a good run. He managed to show up and then got knocked out by Pult immediately. Revolution signed Hero, who'd been teamless for a while. Hero, formerly of Team Liquid, not of CJ Antis. Expert picked up Beyond, which they'd kind of been hinting about. And then this team I hadn't heard of, ENCE, signed Cyril. So this week we saw a bunch of different signings. And I'm kind of curious, and I know other people are asking too, is like this much signing just kind of the typical postseason movement of players between teams? Or is Blizzard maybe sending out certain signals behind the scenes that are giving teams and organizations an idea of what's going on? I see you shaking your head, Jessica, so I'm going to let you I'm going to let you jump in right away.
I can almost guarantee Blizzard's doing nothing, giving them any hints. It's unfortunately going to be a lot like last year, as far as I understand it, that you're not even going to know what WCS is going to look like until probably December. Which is terrible and blah blah blah, and it sucks. And compared to Heroes, who already had all their announcements, it's like super terrible. But that's the way it goes. They're still like putting out fires behind the scenes that I can't talk about, and I don't think they're like, hey team, like you're totally gonna want players. Yeah, I think My Insanity has always been looking for rising talent. They seem kind of like a team that just they have money. It's one of those esports teams that run by some guy who just like, yeah, I want an esports team. Okay, use my money, thanks. So them picking up 2 really good players or rising players, I guess. Again, is not very surprising. Although BCQ is like a really old name.
I was gonna say, is it fair to call Beastie Cutie a rising player at this point?
Well, he'll always like jump into an expansion and then like rise, and then he'll like dip out. And Legacy of the Void, he hasn't dipped out, so okay. I guess he's finally consistent again. But he is definitely one of the older picks. Revolution signing Hero was just totally left field. I have no idea why they would do that unless they expected his stream to be really popular, which as far as I can see, it is not that popular. I don't even think it's been partnered on Team Liquid, but I might be wrong about that. I've missed every single stream. And all I've seen is like Reddit threads of like his diehard fans. So I don't know. And Expert signing Bjorn was a move that made a hell of a lot of sense. Expert has Bly and Scarlet is Bjorn's like practice partner for a lot of different things, and they actually seem to like be friendly with each other, like super users that I know, but like super friendly. And Bjorn had good relations with Sela, who did the partnership agreements, and also he was a fan of Innovation, who was on Team Acer, and Team Expert is just literally Team Acer's esports division once again. So that is the one that makes by far the most sense in my eyes. And then Ents, like you said, like it's not even that popular of a team. I know that we've cast people on Ents before because I always make the joke, Ents. But that's it. Cyril's been an up and comer for a while. He was a Mind Sanity, which I thought was a good fit for him, but I guess it didn't work out. So I don't know what Ents means for him.
Yeah, well, maybe Ents means business for themselves.
I'm wondering about that because he used to be on Ents before. Like,
Oh, was he?
yeah, at least Sarah was. I don't know. I know they have two right now as well, Moo and Cyril at the moment, but they like disbanded a while ago, like way before. I don't even know when it was, but I think like 2014.
But sometimes with those like semi-pro teams, even if they like formally disband, they never kind of like
Yeah,
really go
they've been,
away.
like, really-
like
yeah.
Red Bloods, Red Bloods just like popped back up with their
Yeah.
entire roster intact recently.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if there was something actually encouraging behind the scenes pickups, then we'd be seeing more and bigger teams pick up more players. Not this, which in my eyes just seems like the usual, like, okay, a couple of the B teams, I suppose. My Insanity is an A team now, but for a long time they're kind of one of those B teams. And Expert's an A team just by formation of like being ex-Acer. Revolution and anyone else, they just, I don't know, this seems to happen. You don't even know how good their contracts are.
True.
Like, literally just be on a clan and I'll take your name for me, like, thanks.
Revolution is a weird team, right? Like they have sort of who's like that low A tier European pro, and then Volts, who's kind of like he's a good player, but he's an NA ladder hero,
Yeah.
and then Hero, who's like
just-
Hero is so weird.
It's just so random. I think that one, like you said, is the most out of left field because it makes you wonder as well, like what their plans are, because to sign a Korean player right now, no one really knows the state of Korean StarCraft 2, and they're saying that it is kind of in need of a lot of help. That you don't really see that many players actually signing them unless they plan to bring them into the circuit somehow. And really, I don't think Hero is one of those players right now or recently that, like, by bringing him into the circuit, he's going to, like, dominate by any means. You know how
Yeah.
bringing in True, he was kind of, like, hot at the time when they brought him. So it's like, that makes sense, I would say.
Also, like, if you're going to bring in a Korean player to participate in next year, hoping that either A, you can actually get them a visa, which is very difficult, or B, that you're not going to need a visa, like what if Deep Six changes next year and you're kind of banking on that, then you'd think you'd choose a player that I don't think Hero's gone through military service yet. Correct me if I'm wrong.
True.
So you got a retired player who's already had a lot of highlight years, who's probably in general fairly tired, I guess, but still obviously likes the game, right? He's willing to stream it and whatnot, but also has a timer on him. Like, I don't think would be a very good sign up to be like, it's going to be our True. And bring him up to you over here, win everything. Thanks.
Make Revolution great again.
Yeah.
It's like Hero is the Revolution.
Yeah, so maybe it's just kind of a streaming pickup, like you said. I guess
Yeah.
we've seen it in the past, like Golden signed with Alien Invasion to stream for
Yeah.
a while.
But that was also so weird because Golden was like, yeah, Twitch. No, wait, Africa. Wait,
I was like,
Africa is trying to make it like foreign friendly, just like Twitch is trying to make itself Korean friendly, but it's super difficult on both sides. Do not have much chance for viewers.
Well, Afrika, I've noticed, like, if you have anything less than crazy amounts of bandwidth, like, it's borderline unwatchable.
Okay,
Like,
yeah. Well, if you're gonna watch Korea, Afrika Korea, yeah, that thing like breaks all the time. But the Afrika Global, which people have a tough time even finding and going to, is not so bad.
Okay.
But it's just super not well known and no one wants to use it.
And then I didn't put these on, but Neuro, you just got picked up by Root. Wardy, I believe, was part of the same signing, right?
Okay, yeah, that I would love to talk about because Root just seems to pick up everyone.
Yeah,
And
they're
I wonder how much actual what's the right word to use here? I want to use usability, but like, what are you actually getting from joining Root? If you can talk about it.
Yeah, Katz gave a good post with the different sort of incentive tiers for joining Root. Not everyone has the same package. It depends on how you fit into the team.
Interesting.
The like obvious A-level pros who are winning tournaments and people who are slightly below that level have a sort of incentives package where as they perform well in OSC tournaments, they get some more on top of that. And then for people like myself and Wardy, we're obviously not like winning tournaments. We're content creators, so we fit in more of like the streaming category, where our streams benefit more by being on Root than otherwise.
Yeah, a lot of teams, and we actually have our own team that does this. Have like deals with Twitch where you can give people streaming under your flag. That's slightly better. That better split. Like ours is 70-30. I know some people get 80-20.
You get a better sub break.
But yeah, and Root is sponsored by Twitch, right? So you guys have some kind of partnership there. Yeah, and I think a lot of teams that pick up streamers, that's like the main benefit. Is they hang out because they get that better CPM.
Yeah, I also get more interaction with practicing with the players. So if people are around and asking for customs, I can play with them. I'm obviously not one of the stronger players, but I can provide practice.
Yeah. This was like a debate a while ago. I mean, back when like EG picked up Orb. Oh my god, like throwback.
A long time ago.
What did you actually get? I know in fantasy actually flip flop from thoughts. I actually don't know where he lands right now, but that there's an argument that okay, you can join a team as a caster and hopefully you get more direct access to players. Maybe you can like tune into the clan practices and really learn a lot, which actually sounds like an awesome thing. Back when Orb joined EG, he literally got to live in their house, which would be an amazing thing, like to have your room and board paid for. But nowadays it seems like okay, there's a CPM thing, but then the downside is being a caster or a streamer and partnering with a team is that you limit yourselves to the sponsors of the team, where otherwise you could go to someone else. So you can't have conflicting sponsors and whatnot. I don't know how it is now with, as you were talking about, the packages that Root offers, like how much they constrain you. But that's what I would be like wondering about Wardy, I guess, specifically, as like a tournament organizer, I suppose.
That's rebranded too. Like
yeah, he did.
Wardy TV, you know, I thought he was gonna do his like own thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's interesting that they joined up with Root, but I don't know how many constraints there are.
Yeah.
So maybe it's like no big deal.
Yeah. I mean, Wardy's a smart guy. I imagine he wouldn't have signed on unless it made sense for him. Yeah.
The thing that I really like about being on Root is it feels like it kind of came up from the community. So Katz is the main boss. There's obviously the OSC bosses as well. But he feels like one of us. So it's not really like talking to someone who has a big bank account and they make a team happen, but they're kind of one step separated from that. He's like within the scene. So he knows how it works. He knows how difficult it is to find sponsorships. He knows about like building your own brand, monetizing your stuff. So he's been really helpful and down to earth about the whole process.
Yeah. The catches that dude. For sure.
That's good to hear. All right, so I think that's it for team signings. So we can move on to kind of, this was like a week of bombshells, which is why I'm kind of moving through what would normally be like a massive topic of discussion pretty quickly. Patch 3.7 was officially announced, and it has a lot of the goodies that were like formally announced at BlizzCon, but have been hinted about behind the scenes since like the year before that. And it's like, yeah, we're working on it. Like skins are our number one priority, yada, yada, yada. And it just felt like it was never coming. And now suddenly, all at once, it's like an explosion of content. Them saying, okay, guys, we're going to have skins. We're going to have separate MMR per race, which has been asked for since like the game came out in 2010.
Yeah.
Voice packs. And then this one I feel is kind of less important, but Nova as a co-op commander is a lot of fun too. So, yeah, take it away, Jessica. I heard you about to say something.
This is just stuff that like we saw at the summit, or at least me and Tempo, right? Something else there? Yeah, Neuro. Yeah, that's right. You're nerding
He's quiet. He was there, man. He's a ninja.
Anyways, yeah, so I guess all your guests, like, this is stuff that we've heard about. And, like, there's even, like, their intention that they've announced to the public, and they announced to us privately, is to really continue supporting StarCraft 2. But you hear that, and you're just like, okay, like, so you're going to make sure that the game doesn't, like, literally break. Thanks, buddy. But no, they actually, like, they want to continue building all this stuff. So this is still just, I mean, it's a lot of what they were talking about to us, but it's not even, like, 100% of it. So just, like, this isn't just, like, this is their last hurrah, like, goodbye, BlizzCon 2016. Look what we gave you. Okay, see you never again.
If Nova doesn't sell, like,
yeah,
we're done.
We're done. We're out of here. No, they already have a lot of like cool stuff planned, and I'm really glad that the decal thing the spray from your worker. When like I think everyone agreed when they brought us in that one of the main uses of this thing is going to be for BM. And the Reddit thread like had a couple of people specifically was like, "Yeah, way to go Blizzard for keeping up on the BM."
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting because, I mean, like, to me, the most important things that were mentioned was the word buy over and over again. So they're going to have stuff to continue selling us, like, for years to come. Because if there's no revenue stream, right, they're going to devote a skeleton crew at most to StarCraft 2. But if it's continuing to rake in money, then that means only good things for the future of the game. Like, the more money the game brings in for Blizzard, obviously, the more attention, time, energy, and love that Blizzard can devote towards StarCraft esports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's all very
That's really cool. I'm glad that they're doing it too. I mean, like, yeah, I know me and Rosita was talking about how we had kind of got hinted to this, like in the plans, and they do want to support the game, and this is, I would say, like the beginning of it too. And the fact that it is going to be received, obviously, it's been asked for forever. But some people might say, like, is it too little, too late, right? But honestly, I don't think it ever is too little, too late. Just because, what was it like? Even like CS:GO, where I don't know what happened with it, but
the game was super dead.
overhaul.
you know what I mean? Yeah, and
Yeah.
it almost feels like we're in this kind of lull of just like we're getting this cool stuff and all, but where are we really going forward to in like 2017 because we don't know how it's going to be within Korea as well for esports, and then I think this year was kind of cool, and it might have been something that kind of sparked team signings, but seeing Neeb go and win a Korean StarCraft 2 tournament, and then looking at BlizzCon and having it be, a lot of players that we can, we've seen like grow throughout the whole year. I think it's more incentive, at least for teams, to want to at least keep on pushing.
They're gonna. This is like a kind of like another topic of discussion, to be honest. So I don't know which way we're getting into it, but like the whole idea of like what can Blizzard do to bring back StarCraft 2. I think at this point, with the expansion already done with, there's no like it's not gonna be like this. Okay, we're gonna sell you an expansion, and you're gonna get like 50,000 more viewers. Like that's never gonna happen again. It's gonna have to probably look a lot more like Super Smash Bros. Because when you brought CS:GO had the thing where they completely changed the game, and that actually like immediately drew in like a lot more players, a lot more viewers. Then over time, it grew up to be like the biggest esport as it is right now. Dota 2 kind of the same thing, I guess. They have that complete the overhaul.
Introducing ranked.
Okay, I was thinking of the mechanics that they changed, right? Like they were like, look, it's gonna be like an entirely different game, so you should come back, and people did that. Like Blizzard's doing that kind of, right? They announced these like really extreme changes in the test map, so they're willing to experiment, and they're willing to be like, hey, it's kind of a new game, it's not an expansion, so please come back. But I think it's gonna be like the slow, steady, just like bringing back the community. It's not gonna be like huge team leagues in Korea, probably, based off of rumors, but it is going to be just like, okay, it's worth signing one or two individual StarCraft players, just like you sign one or two individual Super Smash Bros. Players.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see 2017 going anyway. And now that you can buy, I guess, you can show your support directly to Blizzard rather than just being like, I love StarCraft. I can be like, I love StarCraft, and I give you guys $50. They'll be continuing to invest into the small build-up again.
Yeah,
I think they need to be shown it, like how much support could come from it too, because they're pretty hesitant to at least figure out a way to do it, or just really go through with it and say like, this is maybe what we need.
Seems like the bigger theme for these changes that they're kind of introducing incrementally is allowing your like average players to distinguish themselves. So StarCraft has been a very skill-oriented game where it's the league, your portrait border, that matters the most. We didn't really have very many skins, whereas as they introduce more and more of them, players will be able to feel unique and they can stand out rather than necessarily having to grind the ladder enough to get the next portrait border. And then with separate MMR, there's even more sort of tracks for them to make some progress that they can see incrementally. So by breaking up the leagues into 3 parts, you get those promotions more often, so you can see progress better. It's more of like a more daily sense of validation for playing StarCraft. Whereas before, it's like maybe once every couple months you get a promotion and it feels good. The rest of the time you're salty and upset about trying to drops and whatnot.
Really quick,
Good.
have you guys played around with Alarak at all? in the co-op.
Yeah.
Because I think if they introduced all of those skins, they would just be rolling in money. Those are the coolest looking units in StarCraft 2.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's probably their plan eventually.
oh man, I was playing with a friend and I bugged out when I spawned like the first time I played with him because even the probes look like great white shark level evil sleek.
Didn't Nice Username make a mod with all those units? It just reskinned all the Protoss units of those?
Most of them are pretty similar to the Alarak. It's the Ream skin.
Oh, the one that y'all did
Yeah.
for the Civil War.
Civil War. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
stuff
had a
like
couple
that.
of like super casuals coming on Reddit and be like, "What's this, guys? I have no idea who Base Rate TV is or what StarCraft Esports is, but this looks super cool." Where
Yeah,
can I get it? You can't. Suck it up.
But I think that's like a lot of it is just getting the community that exists like more re-engaged, right? Like you have a lot of people that like come in and like something cool happened and they'll say, "Oh, I don't really follow StarCraft 2 anymore, but this is cool." Like getting those people that stop by and say that to like maybe open up the game and buy something once in a while and play it and maybe turn it into a tournament.
Yo, if it works in Heroes of the Storm on me, who like actually never plays Heroes of the Storm, but will be like, "Ooh, a skin on Zarya. Let's check this out." Then it's
Yeah.
gonna work for people in StarCraft.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that kind of covers all of the bombshells that we went through this weekend. And now I want to get more into kind of the meat of the show as we talked about. We've got our main story here, which is content creation. And everyone that I've brought on here is a content creator.
Hey, why'd you bring me on? I haven't made any music in like how long?
I mean, you're a
Oh,
streamer. You're on
I don't know,
YouTube. You're on SoundCloud. But yeah, I want to first just kind of go round the horn and I'll briefly talk about what we do in case maybe someone is familiar with some of us, but not all of us. So I'm Joe. I run Offline Lands, Cheesadelphia, and I produce a bunch of online stuff. I'm not usually casting. I'm usually the man behind the camera. Yeah, a bunch of online tournaments. And then Neuro, if you want to tell us a little bit about your stream. I know you have a YouTube as well.
Yeah, I have a stream YouTube channel. I'm basically the mentality guy in the scene where I saw Idra and I was like, these people need help.
Jesus, man, this boy.
I loved his play. Like, I really respected him as a player, and it was like he could be the very best in the world if he could fix his mindset, but that never happened, and he kind of just petered out. But I came from cognitive science and from poker, and in both of those disciplines, it talks about how emotion and circumstances will influence your decision-making and cause you to make mistakes. And the StarCraft community seemed like a way that I could do that personally, where I make a stream, I try and get better, and I try and implement these edges of mentality where once I get into Masters League and I'm trying to break into GM the first time, every time a downswing happens, people tilt, they rage, they hate the game, they hate the matchup, they hate their opponents, and they fail to ask the question, what could I have done better? So by enduring those downswings better, you can improve faster than other people, and then you can bring those skills to other areas of your life. So that's kind of what my product is about. It's about allowing people to take better control of their mindset, manage their emotions more effectively, keep their shit together, and improve themselves.
Right.
So the YouTube content, some of it is direct Zerg stuff, some of it is mentality stuff, and some of it is just straight up comedy. That's like some of my older stuff, but a lot of those like comedy videos have a principle to be learned from them.
Cool. Jessica, if you could tell us just a little bit about Base Trade TV. I'm sure it needs no introduction for most people, but
Sure. Well, Base Rate TV is a tournament organization and casting team. So I upload some of the tournament organization, but it's usually Rifkin contacting players, helping out with the Overwatch division, I suppose, and organizing tournaments over there 'cause it's completely different. I do on my own channel stream and YouTube content, which is like doing videos of events and build order tutorials and history of StarCraft videos, and that type of stuff.
Cool.
And co-op stuff.
Cool. And then Kwame, if you could close this out before we jump further in.
All right. Well, I go by the name of Tempo, former GM, gaming musician. No, but honestly, I pretty much stream every day. I've been transitioning a bit more, but not in the sense of like I'm giving all the other kind of content producing up, but I've kind of it's gonna be stuff that we talk about today, which is actually really nice. But been focusing more on the live streaming side of things and also casting, going to events, more grassroots, a lot of grassroots events this year, at least specifically in 2016. And even in 2015, it was more about like, I remember ASL, I was very involved in that. So, the Demos Esports Team League, a lot of the times it's the lesser known, I would say, events that do go on, but just watch someone playing the game I think is the best, and I would like to see what I could of content that hasn't, it's not new content. YouTube in this day and age, you do need to almost put a video out a day for that constant growth. I know Loco would be a really good person for this, I would say, who could give some really good insight on balancing YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I think was one of the topics, right?
Yeah.
As far as going back and forth, and I know y'all at Base Trade have this kind of dilemma as to what you want to upload to YouTube, or is it worth it to upload everything to YouTube, or should you pick certain things, or is there any kind of thing that y'all came to, any kind of conclusion that worked out best from the caster perspective, or?
Not exactly. I mean, consistent, like, basically the biggest problem was education in the beginning, which was like to tell people like, yeah, we actually are using YouTube again. So it's actually been on a steady rise. You can see the numbers of the initial day that it's released being a little bit higher, and then the overall like 2 weeks later being higher than YouTube videos before. So again, like education, letting people know that it's there. And now we're getting more and more people saying like, oh, I've seen you guys on YouTube, I didn't know you streamed on Twitch, which is like totally bizarre. It's 9% of the time the opposite. But we found out that co-op does pretty well, so that's why we do it every week, as well as just really dumb stuff, like anything that can be highlighted, anything that can be clipped, right? I know, like, in general, if you're going to be a YouTube producer, you're going to learn like what lengths of video are going to do best for you, and like usually the shorter the better. And they even have like analytics about like, when do people stop watching and whatnot. But like video, where it's like Nathaniel says that a Thor won't fit through, but he's clearly wrong because an Ultra can't possibly fit through, and like it fits through.
Yeah.
It's actually, I think, the highest one you'd want now. So.
And Nura, I know you've got your own YouTube. What kind of videos have you found have had a lot of success compared to others?
So, content creation, if you're making a video for YouTube, it's very time consuming. Like with the stream clip, it happens, you highlight it, it takes like an extra 5 minutes after your stream is over. I make like a get better video, it takes 2 weeks to like plan, write, film, and then edit. It takes more and more hours. I sneeze and fall out of my chair. And it's like, come on, dude. I'm trying to like bring stuff to the community, but people see slapstick. So it's a thing to balance. If you're creating content, is like, this is what I want to get across. This is the point I want to get across. You got to make it saucy or spicy in some way for it to stick. Otherwise, it's just going to be somewhere that like bland, like this. This is the content that this person makes. Like, that's cool, but I'm not really that interested. I'm not going to watch it twice. But if you do something silly on top of that, people are more likely to remember that, and that's what really kind of has the lasting value on your channel. So that's one of the great difficulties of making good content, is not just content with a good message, but content with really good delivery.
Okay, well, I think we've kind of touched on this already, but I want to delve a little bit more in depth into it. And I'll let you have the first word on this one, Austin, because I gave you the last one and the last one. But the importance of like content being fresh and being new and constantly bringing something different to the table. Do you find if you're changing things up a bit as opposed to just giving the same kind of like, obviously the content is going to be different, but if your like delivery and your idea of, okay, this is going to be how I give my mindset talk stays the same.
What they want you. So it's not just like you're building your brand and this is what you want everything to be, so much as if you're abiding in a community, you need to be talking with them about what they want to see. So a lot of times I'll be fielding questions about what topic community is going to watch it more than I'm going to watch it. So their opinion on that should be weighed very heavily. And then figuring out what they like or don't like with the videos. Like the focus video and then the dedication motivation video, I have a sleeveless vest. A lot of people take issue with that. And now I'm considering, like, for the next videos, are sleeves a priority for me? Like, is that something?
Wait, actually, people take issue with you wearing a sleeveless vest?
Yeah. And then I asked them, I said, so what would you like to see? And they were like, you should wear the most normal thing possible. So now I'm like going on a quest to find out what it means to dress as normal as possible. It's a fun balance to strike, and it's a difficult one where you are yourself, you create what you want, but you also create stuff that other people want to see.
Yeah. And you do have to stay true to yourself, and like, because you're going to be doing that content for a while too. So if you're living in this kind of facade and you're just kind of doing it only to be accepted, or, you know, I think you probably burn out, or just, you know, I don't know, it just wouldn't feel right to you as well. I think there was someone in your comment too that was just like, oh, I wish he would just cut his hair.
Yeah.
Girl comes in the next video and he has his hair cut. I like his hair, you know what I mean? Like, so now you've let me down because you know, went to his whatever he wanted to do. But I guess, yeah, like when it comes down to it, like, and it's been a thing that I've struggled with a lot too. It's like that one, you can't please everybody, obviously. And a lot of the times when I'm like, I'll have stuff written and it'll be like, oh man, I have no idea if this is gonna click with everybody. Am I gonna rustle some can watch on a weekly basis right now?
Yeah.
So, you know, just putting that out there and people saying like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Over time, you're gonna learn from your mistakes. You're gonna get a following, whether it's a small one, but the potential for it to grow into a big one comes from you just doing it in the first place and having it be there for people to come through. So
really hard. Terran is the easiest one to build tutorials for by far. Zerg's pretty difficult. But anyway, but like or interviews, you know, like signed as interviews. But like I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, Incontrol's already been interviewed like a billion times, so you have to add. But actually, it's super interesting to see like 2 years later since Incontrol's last StarCraft 2 interview. Of course, you're gonna be interested in it. That's a big hurdle. Is thinking that people have already done it, so what's the point? Like, what else is going to bring? In terms of varying up content, I've been trying to think of like both YouTube and Twitch. And Twitch StarCraft 2 varying content, I imagine, would mean something like, well, for us, for tournament producers, I suppose, for casters, would be different types of tournaments. I am a very hard person to convince that varying up tournaments is the way to go. I know that we've, like, Basic TV's obviously tried. We had the Civil War thing, but that was Rifkin's idea. He loves thinking about new ways to do things. I'm not entirely sure the viewership was any better or worse. I think it was pretty dissimilar. I just want to watch players in a tournament that I can understand. If I'm confused, then that's not going to work. So I just think consistency is really good for Twitch. But that's my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of people have different opinions. For YouTube, I feel like you can go either way. You can have a build tutorial every day. You'd run out of builds eventually, but
true.
And you could probably do pretty well because people will constantly refer back to that playlist, for instance. Or you can continue expanding with different ideas, as long as it's, I guess, the core centralized idea is StarCraft for us, because we're going to talk about changing up
Do you guys get like comments on your appearance and dress choice, or is that just because Nero dresses like a samurai?
No.
Never.
Well, no, because he was saying he
You're
was
the only black SC2 player in the world.
Oh my god, did you see that Reddit comment?
ever.
Did you see that Reddit comment on today's Reddit thread, man?
That's the same guy that
my
leaves. He
God.
makes a new account every time I make a thread, and he
course he
leaves
does.
a fun little
He
present.
was probably the fake barcode Korean as well. Like, there's always that guy in there.
Dude. Yep.
Sorry. What was your...
I guess it was
Sorry, what else
just.
sarcastic?
I guess I've been lucky enough where in the brief time that I was casting a lot, I didn't get anything about that. But yeah, I guess is that like feedback that you guys get? And by I mean actual like, oh, wear normal clothes, not like, oh, you're black, that's bad. Not
I know.
not like feedback versus
There is
trolling.
a difference. There's
Yeah,
like a person who'll be like, hey, your clown suit was a little jarring. Can you wear his normal clothes next
Yo,
time?
don't talk about clowns in this right now. This is real.
Right? They're all over the East Coast, man. They're coming after me.
I am scared, yo. They're talking about the flood in Florida or the hurricane in Florida. I'm like, yo, fuck the flood. The clowns out on the roof. You know what I'm saying? Oh boy, they got clowns abducting kids and leading them into the forest. Like, hey, little kid.
Yeah,
You have a
man.
birthday party? You want a birthday party? Yeah.
They've been coming up, like, first with North Carolina and West Virginia. They're coming after me.
Nope. I ain't going outside. It's the last time I go
You
outside.
probably shouldn't go into a dark forest in the first place.
So talking about the clown
Just throwing
thing.
it out there.
Talking about the clown thing, a Fox News guy that like does this weird show for Fox came and interviewed me about esports, but the show he'd done before, he dressed up as a clown, put a GoPro on, and sat on the subway and just filmed people's reactions all day to him dressed as a clown on a subway.
Wow.
So, I don't know. I guess Fox News is really reaching these days.
Dude, they are. Just-
Okay, so in a serious way, the thing with Neuro, like, I haven't seen his Sleepless. Maybe it's really off-putting. But certainly you get comments that are either, well, you get the 1,000 comments that are ill-intentioned, that you just can't even really recognize. But you get the ones that are actually, like, they think they're well-intentioned. Like, I've literally had people tell me that they really are very sad that I went blonde. And that, like, when I was a brunette, I was more, like,
You're a better caster.
they could take them more seriously as a caster or something. And I was like, wow, stereotype really exists. Girls blondes don't even have much more fun, What's with stereotypes? But, yeah, I certainly had that. I mean, me and Rifkin have both had comments about, like, our weights, right? Been like, oh, like, maybe look at a job if they're skinnier type deal. So it's certainly abundant. Various different types.
Huh.
Yeah.
That
But,
sucks.
I mean, I don't think it's like, it's not like too bad, but it's almost like any streamer or anybody that puts themselves out there, excuse me, is gonna get like some kind of comment like that. And it's not stuff that you really should take too much to heart. Like if you have your gimmick or whatever it is that just even your style, some people are like, he's wearing a hat indoors as if I'm like only wearing hats ever in my life to shield the sun. Or like God forbid it's for some kind of style or anything like that. But there are people that think like that, and the same guy that's like, oh, I wish he would cut his hair. Or back when I had so I had a flat top, I still do kind of, and I had like my 80s box TV in the background, so it literally looked like I'm in this Fresh Prince episode just on stream, and they're like, wow, Tempo, like that TV though.
Behind their kind of layer of safety of, I'm a Twitch viewer in a chat, you can ban me, I can make a new account, I'm safe. So being able to sort of acclimate to those comments, not necessarily enjoy them, because it's not nice to receive a lot of those, but kind of seeing where they're coming from helps a little bit in terms of like, they want to validate themselves. Sometimes to make themselves feel attractive, they will say that someone else is unattractive. And then relatively, because Neuro has a very long neck, therefore my neck length is great, so I'm more attractive. So it's a different type of conversational game to play than you would at the office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would walk up to you and say you had a long neck in person.
No.
That would be like the craziest thing ever.
Yeah. But
One thing that I created, go ahead.
I was gonna say like the shirtless thing too. That was like your thing, right? And if it wasn't for Twitch being a bunch of play haters, then probably would still own that, right? It's just like that's.
Yeah, I
This
mean,
thing could have been mine too if it wasn't for Twitch.
oh damn. Cheers.
Yeah.
But yeah, one example that I've given people is to kind of encourage them to imagine if you met that same person at a coffee shop, would you say those same things? There's like a big domain of stuff that you would say to your ladder opponent or to a broadcaster on Twitch or a fellow viewer that you would never say to someone in person. Like really think about those comments and like, am I being nasty right now? And just because you say no offense before you say something nasty doesn't mean they're not going to. Daryl, I'm not trying to disrespect you, but you have the biggest forehead I've ever seen. What?
Anyway.
Thanks, viewers.
Cool. So yeah, after that reality check of not being an asshole, Twitch viewers, let's move on to crossing platforms, which we touched on a bit. I want to go to UTempo just because you also use SoundCloud, right? You have
Yeah.
a lot of your new music that.
Sorry, I don't know what that was. This was wasabi peas, dude.
Can you just tell us why you use SoundCloud for some things and not others?
Okay. So my thing was, I had a lot of pressure, where I want to make a song. Like I really like this, the lyrics that I've come up with, and I just want to release it, and I want people to hear it. And I always am afraid, at least from my past videos, the songs always would be released at the time of the video. So, since they're accompanied by the video, there's been this expectation that grows that if I put it on YouTube, it damn well better have a video with it. I've talked to even like Desro about it a couple times. He's like, yeah, it's cool to know that the song is there, but we want the video. Man. I'm like, God damn it, Desro. I'm like, all right, I get it. So that kind of like that kind of came with it all, as far as me like having time pass and realizing that I'm not really putting content out. So it kind of was my way to be able to release something and not feel bad about putting it on YouTube without a video. And because like I think Zombie Girl was saying, and even Neuro, the content producer, it takes a lot of time. And this goes into the cross-platform thing. Twitch takes a lot of time as well. Like you have to, if you want to stay competitive at least, and actually maintain your subs and your viewer count, even your day-to-day viewer count, you do need to stream every day for whatever amount of hours that people are used to, for you at least, until you find that kind of balance of content producing in your day, because you only have 24 hours in any given one, and actually continue to have this cycle of content every single day or every week, whatever schedule that you're on. So for me, cross-platform has been kind of weird, and I think it might it definitely ate into my ability even to produce more YouTube content, or I just got stuck in like a Twitch way where day to day goes by and some days I'll stream for like 8 hours or 12 hours or something crazy like that. Then you realize that you really don't have a lot of time to do much of anything else. But the creative process and the actual doing of it, So like when I was working like in accounting, my brain was not really being put to work. So I'd be sitting there putting numbers in the computer. So like I could use that idle time to really think about stuff and, alt tab out, write some stuff. So I'm using that period of time in the day to, do lyrics, because I'm so bored. These kind of thoughts are flowing through my head. I'm not interacting with all these people like I am on Twitch. So creative time was a lot better, I think, when I was idle, which is, you would think like, oh, if he's always doing StarCraft, then it should basically just flow. But surprisingly enough, using this cross platform has kind of ate into it a bit more, I think, because you want to satisfy the need of producing content all the time, as well as a daily streaming schedule, so that you actually maintain your subs. So it's been kind of a struggle for me, I think. And it's probably one of the reasons why you haven't seen as much, so it's kind of weird.
Cool. And do either of you guys have anything else to say on the topic of cross-platform before we move on? Because we kind of jumped into that already. Moving between those platforms, Twitch, YouTube, anywhere else you are.
Yeah, my YouTube channel is very small compared to my Twitch channel. And my Twitch channel, I would say I'm still up and coming. Like, if you look at my follower count compared to other people at similar viewership, I have less follows just because I'm kind of newer. I wasn't around in Wings of Liberty and kind of came in the latter half of Heart of the Swarm. So if you're creating YouTube content and building the channel the first time, it's a big investment where you're basically not making money. So it's sort of like trying to grow the YouTube channel without compromising the consistency of your Twitch stream. It's tough, but ask Loco. Like he's the best at balancing the two. So I think he's the biggest StarCraft YouTube content creator, and he gets like really nice viewership every time he streams on Twitch. And I think a big part of that is his time management. He knows from when he wakes up in the morning how much time he's dedicating to YouTube videos, how much he's streaming, and it's not super long. He does like 3 to 4 hours. He doesn't do a full 8, and then he'll like do whatever. So good example to be made by him.
Yeah, time management, like, and like what it is that you want to do. I think if you're gonna do cross-platform, it's so important. Like, it's tough, but you know you can do it. Like that's why I said like local, and you said it too. Really, really good example for that. As far as like what does viewers expect when streaming, what does viewers expect every day when they wake up or whatever time he posts his content at, and you get that cycle mastered. And I think you know you probably are in a good spot to at least succeed in that department. Because I mean, it's not like he's doing those. It's not like he's Carbot, doing like a whole cartoon or something, and then going and then streaming for like 8 hours and doing it. Like he's really just balancing his gameplay, his strategies that he tells, or how he makes his build order videos, and entertainment at the same time with the vlogs, the insight and stuff. Just utilizing all that time in order to like blocks. Like I guess it's in blocks, I would say.
Yeah.
As opposed to like I'm just gonna stream today, and then when I end, I end. And whatever I do after that.
I don't know about like cross content as like over the different types, like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, like I don't know about that, but like, oh wow, you got a new sub.
Thank you, Fear Dragon 69. All right,
amazing.
Unmodded Fear Dragon, remodded.
Yes.
So, but I was gonna say, just like thinking while y'all were talking about like being a streamer and then being a YouTube producer, it's actually really weird for like me, I guess, and for anyone else who's a caster primarily, because right, and this is a whole other like we've always wanted to do videos on this one. The thing that like Base Trade TV is a streamer caster. We're not going to events once every month and strictly casting. We're streaming every day as a caster, but also shouting out subs and stuff like that. So to be that person who is a caster, I guess is the best way to identify it for that, even though it's streaming casting, as well as YouTube production and my own streamer. That is really hard because it's already difficult enough to go from streamer to YouTuber or vice versa, but then also to go from like caster to one to the other can also be, I think I have a very hard time bringing people over for one or the other because of that. And I wonder just how many other people have the same difficulty. I know Loco, for instance, because this is all in the eyes of like StarCraft as well. So you bring in other games, even if they're Blizzard games for the most part, it's also really difficult. I don't know how he does it.
People get very upset. Did you lose your passion? Are you playing Dota 2? Are you retiring? Did you switch games?
Yep. Did you uninstall it?
So, I do want to super briefly touch on something that's not on the notes, and I already ranted about it this week, so it's not necessarily going to be new for a lot of people, but holy shit, content theft on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that
You're
shit.
saying that.
Oh my god.
Holy,
I like
is a first.
Yeah. I wrote like a pretty long rant about that, like in anger. Like I was not happy when I wrote that because I went on and I saw this channel. It's called SC2 Pro League, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that's been around since 2013, like making new channels when his old one gets banned. And like they had all the Cheesadelphia 3 VODs. They had like 10,000 views when ours have like 200, and it's because he's aggregating every single VOD from every single tournament on one channel. And like I don't even know if I have a point here. Just like with Base Trade, how long have you guys been dealing with that? Like those people just straight up ripping your content?
Since the beginning, I'm pretty sure. I remember like 2 years ago, someone did that, and people would notify us. I mean, we also had a point we were dealing with on Twitch, which yeah, we had. Well, it's not the same thing. It's not like literally them restreaming us talking, but it'd be a restream and then they talk over it. That actually happened with some of the Russian casters, and that's why we don't let them cast, or we don't cast the player because he's also like a player.
Revolver.
And what's yes,
I've had problems with him like not using delay.
Yeah, he's actually he's terrible actually as a person. But it was so weird, right? Because like where I guess like the YouTube content is like so like everyone agreed on that Reddit thread. I mean, Total Biscuit even came in, right? It's like, yeah, fuck those guys.
Yep.
Some people actually defend the Twitch shit. They'll be like, well, you cast Take TV stuff. And I was like, we asked permission and we didn't restream. They let us into the game. Like, it seriously is as simple as asking permission too. We're just so mind-boggling about the Russian stream. Anyways. And they would actually like use that shit against us with the whole Kesva thing. It was like one
Oh,
guy
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, you won't even let like a Russian guy stream your content, so why does StarCraft 2 like Pro League have to give it to you?" And I was like, "Oh, I fucking hate this."
Yeah. So
On like some departments, it's like, okay, this is an interesting philosophical discussion. You're absolutely correct. But on other ones, it's like you're literally like taking money that we would have made. So I don't.
yeah, so just really quick for people that don't know Revolver, he's this Russian player caster. Like he's casted our tournaments in the past where we're like, yeah, you can cast, but you have to use a 3-minute delay. And I'll go on and there's just no delay, and he's casting Russian players.
Yep.
And it's like, yo. And then we'll tell him to use delay, and he restarts the stream with no delay. And then it's like, all right, you're perma-banned. And then he'll message you like, why am I banned? Like, well, because, like, this, it's
And
like,
he'll want to start like philosophical discussions with you, and you're just like, I don't.
No.
No, I don't want to.
I love how the real Fair Dragon subbed and nobody.
yeah, shout out to Ruby. Thank you.
Shout out to my boy Ravi, man. Yeah, you know what's funny too? Okay, so I've had a weird situation before, where a song that I did, it was I think it Drone So Hard, got re-uploaded, by I don't know who, some random person, but I don't think it was ill intent because people from I think either Germany or it might be Gemma, whatever it's called, it's blocked in a certain country, but like they would upload certain songs that are blocked in their country to, I guess,
Circumvent the block.
bypass somehow. Yeah, they circumvent it, but it's still like just put up there. And I don't really, honestly, I'm like the type that is not a huge, because I mean, look at me, I'm doing parodies of other people's songs, so like, who am I to be a hypocrite and be like, oh my god, no, that's not fair. He's not making original content. Like he's my content. It's like, I guess I can sympathize, I guess, with that. But when it comes to your stuff, I honestly don't think there is any real excuse to it. It's not like they are they even crediting you and saying like this is from the Base Trade cast, this is from the cheese, or like the Nerd Street Gamers original VOD or something like that. It's not like it's another language or something.
No,
like
I think it's a bot,
straight
honestly.
up rip. Yeah, it's just a straight up rip. So yeah, I had that weird situation before, and at first somebody came to my channel and they're like, yo, this dude is stealing your music and he's putting it on his YouTube. But I think it was specifically because of that, blocked in a certain country. Whether they monetize it or not, it's whatever, but I don't know. I was wondering that too.
Yeah, so that's shitty. We can move on. I wanted to bring that up because it was on the mind.
Oh yeah, you tell them.
So branching into other games, Jessica, I know you guys have been doing Overwatch, right? To some extent.
Yeah.
So,
Trying. Oh my god.
Yeah, you talk about a saturated market, but like, what's your experience branching into other games?
So Overwatch is a very specific beast, and we're not variety streamers, nor are we probably ever going to be. Like, I think a variety streamer's got to be like more than like 5 video games, I want to say. I even have trouble with like calling Loco one sometimes. But anyway, but in terms of like branching over, you have to prepare the StarCraft 2 audience specifically that you're not leaving them. It's very difficult. It's like you're hanging out with a friend that's a girl and you got a girlfriend, and the girlfriend's like, what? You have other friends that are girl? I don't know. That's not gonna happen. Are you leaving me? Are you like hate me now? And you're like, you have to prep them really hard. So I think actually like Take TV does this right too, and Take TV is like something that I've looked at a lot because they do StarCraft 2, but no one is ever fearful they're leaving StarCraft 2 through Hearthstone or through Overwatch, and a lot of that has to do with they do divide their streams. So they have like Twitch or Take TV Black and Take TV Overwatch and Take TV whatever. So that helps. They also, I think they actually like hire certain. Well, I don't know if they hire them. I don't know if they've been paid, but like people to specify in one or the other, as well as like their core casting group to do everything. That's all stuff that I've looked at. But for like us to Earthkin and Zombie Grub on Base Trade TV to go to a different game, it is like convincing people you're not leaving them forever, and that's the biggest difficulty. First is not to like betray your StarCraft 2 audience, I suppose. But luckily for us, usually the StarCraft 2 audience for us is a Base Trade TV audience, so they're not so bad. They're not like going to leave us because we did other stuff. But in terms of grabbing the Overwatch market and bringing it back to Base Trade TV, that is, I'm not even sure that like that can even happen. We've only done one tournament. We're about to do the next one this weekend, the qualifiers, and we'll see how the viewership looks like, but also the reaction, the comments look like. But because it's Overwatch and because there was the oversaturation, because there is like, and we talked about this bubble that existed because everyone thought it was going to be the next biggest thing, which it still might be, but a $300,000 tournament getting 50,000 viewers max is not what they expected, but it's now what the players expect. It's tough shit, actually. Like getting people to sign up for Overwatch tournaments that aren't go-to gamers basically is really difficult. And getting players to convince that $100 per person is actually a good payout is really hard to do. So it's like so much more money than StarCraft 2. So that's a difficulty, I guess, for us. I know a while ago people were convinced that we do well in Hearthstone, but for us, it was always about like, okay, maybe branching out content-wise is the wiser move long term. But if we don't like the game, we're not going to force ourselves because we also could have done it in Heroes of the Storm, but
Yeah.
Paul, Matt, you've done a lot of Clash Royale, right? Have you been doing anything else? How's Clash Royale going? Do you have the same?
Yo, I just got
audience from-
Legendary Arena yesterday, man. I'm a G. I'm going
is that
hard.
impressive? Is that like
Flashing with that passion. But okay, so I actually have stopped streaming it regularly. I used to do it at like it was a specific time, and this was a thing where I would do my regular stream, and then as soon as around like midnight would hit, is when I would switch it over to Clash, and then I'd play till like 4 or something in the morning, and it actually did really well. Surprisingly, at the point for the streamer spotlight from Blizzard, got more viewership from me than my StarCraft 2 streams, and I think it has to do with one. It's a big player based game. Not that many people stream it like full time, I would say, and also you can be very interactive with it. It's very easy to have like 3 different styles of streaming. So I could commentate people's replays. I could commentate any replays that like people would send in from the clan. I could play, and then I could run tournaments at the same time. So it was very engaging, and a lot of my StarCraft people wouldn't really tune in. You had a few that would play, and when I played StarCraft, surprisingly enough, more Clash people stayed and watched my StarCraft stuff than the other way around. So I think depending on what game you do branch out into, and just what kind of what demographic it is, and like the kind of viewers that they are, can be important. So if you're gonna branch off into a game where most likely the people that play the said game don't only watch that game, it can be very beneficial to you, even if it might hurt you a little bit, because people might say like, oh, where's your passion? Like, why aren't you streaming StarCraft? I do get people that say, oh, yo, do you still stream Clash? Like, why don't you stream Clash anymore? Or when are you gonna stream Clash? But it was kind of weird, because I noticed that at least in StarCraft 2, it seems like it's really hard to do that jump to another game than it is the other way around, or at least branch out and come back, because a lot of StarCraft viewers only watch StarCraft 2. They only usually play StarCraft 2, and that's it. Every other game sucks. They're dumb casual games. It is what it is. But a lot of other viewers in other games are down to actually be like, hey, what's this game? Oh, StarCraft, where can I download it? Or, they're a lot more curious than I think a lot of StarCraft 2 viewers are, or at least for me. I don't know how it is for everybody else that play different games. I've known that I've been a lot better at bringing people into StarCraft than I have having success having my StarCraft people stick with me for other stuff.
Right on. And then I guess, Neuro, I know you mentioned Dota was one thing you were playing and people were asking you questions. Do you have you streamed other games? Do you have any kind of experience on that?
Yeah, kind of combining their 2 points, which Zombie Grub's point was you have to prep your StarCraft viewers before you start streaming another game. So I'll stream StarCraft for like 4 to 5 hours on my Sunday streams, and then I'll be like, all right, everyone, let's have a talk. I'm gonna change games. I'm not retiring from StarCraft. And Dota 2 is a MOBA game. It has some overlap with StarCraft in terms of positioning and initiatives and like decision making and all that. And then once you dive into the game, it really helps to explain the game to someone as though they had never understood it before. You're more likely to retain some of those StarCraft viewers, and then that puts you higher on the list of the streams of that other game. So rather than just starting my stream fresh, like logging on and then starting Dota, it's better to start with your primary game and then explain what this next game is going to be like, talking them through it for the first match, and then they can kind of follow along a lot better.
Cool. So guys, we are going to be moving on to our final topic, but I just want to throw out, if you have a question, you can use the command question and ask it in the Reddit thread, or you can use the command call and Molded Pixels. You add Molded Pixels on Skype and it'll help you call into the show. Those questions are going to be the last thing we do before we sign off. But I do want to ask for, like, we're all experienced content makers, and I want to go around the horn and kind of get any final feedback you'd give to, because there's a lot of people out there making content right now, and maybe they're not getting noticed because of a quality thing, because of a quantity thing. Maybe they just don't know how to promote it. So I'll actually take the start on this one. I think something that I've been able to be decent at is knowing kind of how to bombard like every channel at once when you have content going live. This is especially with like live events. Like, you want to make sure you have your Team Liquid thread about it bumped to the top right when it's going live. You want to be on the Team Liquid calendar. You want to blast social media and tag everyone. If you're in StarCraft groups on Facebook, let them know. And then you want to make sure you have a Reddit link that kind of goes up like 4 to 5 hours before, so it's visible when you're live. And if
got it done with science.
yeah, I mean, so I'm not a person that spent a whole lot of time in front of the camera. I don't have huge name recognition, so for me, being visible on a bunch of different platforms at once, I've noticed like a huge viewer difference for me. And I think that translates. It depends on who you are. Like, obviously, if Destiny turns on his stream, he's gonna get 5,000 StarCraft viewers no matter what. But I think if you're someone less visible, it makes a big difference to kind of blast everyone and grab anyone that might be interested and convert them into actual viewers. So Neuro, do you have any ideas on how to kind of break out for up-and-coming streamers? You're someone that's kind of come up pretty recently, I would say.
So with streaming, building it up from the beginning, if you're just playing, like this would be different for casting or hosting talk shows and whatnot, is just putting in a lot of daily volume where as much spare time as you can stream, you stream and you aim to get a couple followers each time. So rather than hoping for those like momentous moments or pushing the community really hard, establishing yourself as a consistent member of the community, you will get hosted. Like, StarCraft as a community is better about hosting than I think any other game, where when people finish, it's just good etiquette to go through the list, see someone who's hardworking, who has a mic and a webcam, and give them the viewers, because that helps them a lot, especially people who are starting out. So yeah, I would say being consistent is the most important thing for building a viewership. You can use those channels, and I would say it's fantastic for events like this, but really thinking about what is a product that I can make in the community that isn't already there, because you need to distinguish yourself. You need to have something that's unique and different, and you need to give the viewer a reason to be in your channel as opposed to other channels.
Cool. So I think that's really good advice, especially for someone going for that personal streaming aspect. Jessica is someone that comes from kind of that tournament streamer, caster, organizer background. Do you have any advice for someone that's trying to break out right now?
Yeah, all your advice is pretty good about just making sure that everything is available. Team Liquid threads, Team Liquid calendar, even Team Liquid blog, maybe, if you can find use and that. Reddit's a good place to do it, and Twitter, of course, so that you can follow some place to actually follow. I'd say, like, give them a reason to actually stick around. As Neuro said, that exists in every single live stream, is that if you can build a community as well, that's going to really help you out. So something as simple as there's a lot of different bots you can use that rewards people with points that are fake. Pertufs are a mainstay of Base Ray TV, and because they're a mainstay, a lot of people actually bother knowing of people from Base Ray TV chat and are actually pretty good friends. Some of our mods even like hung out with each other in real life type deal. after going to TwitchCon, actually, I can say that a lot of these streamers that have 100 to 200 viewers, and of course the bigger ones as well, but like medium sized, right? They have dedicated fans and dedicated mods, and they'll have like movement to the mods and stuff like that. Like they're pretty invested, right, into their community. That's a good way to continue, I guess, growing and actually making a place here in esports. And then yeah, find something that isn't being done right now. Doesn't matter if it was done in the past, unless it's literally the exact same copy, then maybe it does matter. But interviews, tutorials, guides, funny videos, doesn't really matter. Highlights of like different things of StarCraft 2 that you think is interesting, like the arcade or maps, something like that. All that stuff actually isn't that popular. So really, unless like Loco's literally doing it right now, you should probably be able to do it. Go for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think finding something that you love doing that you can at least give to the community that is unique to you. So, or at least that is not around the community as much nowadays. Whereas, I was trying to think, who was it? I think one of the newest up and coming streamers that I've seen, he actually just got a little Reddit post on him. I think it was a few days ago. K2K Star. Someone was like, "Hey, this guy is the happiest streamer. He just got like Adept All In, and he's like the happiest streamer I've ever seen in my life because he's like, it's like life is good." And I think when Neuro was coming up, it was kind of like that as well, where it's just like, check out this little thing on Neuro. This is how Neuro deals with DMing player or something like that, and it was just this is Neuro at like when you watch him nowadays, that's him, you know what I mean? And that's just how it was, him just doing that all the time anyway, being unique. It wasn't like, all right, how am I going to raise my viewer count and get this post on Reddit about me? It's just like doing something like being unique, I guess, standing out already in the first place. Is basically what at least drew people, I would say, to Neuro, or people will get drawn to this K2K Star who I'm talking about. And if you go to his stream, it's not like a huge stream, but he can, pull some pretty decent numbers, 50s for someone that isn't necessarily well known, I would say, but he does his own little community thing. And what he will do is have people, sending in replays and whatnot, and he'll analyze these replays or like go through these replays and just cast them even to an extent and just have fun with it and have this very positive, upbeat attitude about it and involve whatever viewers that he has and make it feel like it's like personal stream in order to at least I guess grow the community, whatever it is that he's growing. It's kind of like what I do a bit as well, where I try to be very, very engaging with my audience as best as I can, and I value that over the actual gameplay, making a good stream experience. So in StarCraft 2, it's very, very difficult, I think, to stream StarCraft 2 and take that blow to your ego that you might, lose a few games in order to make a better stream experience. Because some people just, get in the habit of just playing, and not really saying anything, whether it's commentary. Drenok does a really good job at that, where he just talks. He's literally just talking. And I don't know how the hell he does it, but he's literally like commentating his own game of StarCraft 2 as he's playing it. And that's like the draw to that. So I don't know. Thinking of something, it's actually kind of tough. I'm not gonna say that it's easy to grow really fast, especially in SE2. But I think patience is really key. Consistency. All these things that you've heard people say over and over, like consistency is key, never give up, and the luckiest people are the people that actually put in that work and have that one day where somebody does host you and you do get noticed and you get a lot of people to stick around and you continue to do it.
One thing that's kind of related to this point is developing solid regulars in your chat where they are real people who you come to know as friends, and it feels more like a deeper relationship than just I watch you play StarCraft, I like Zerg, I like to see Zerg win, so much as I'm a real person, I have my job, I have my aspirations, I have my league, I have my skill level, and we can talk about all kinds of other stuff, and I see you as a real legitimate friend in person, not just someone who kind of passes through to increase my number. Because they're real people. You see the viewer number, assuming you don't have some beep boops, it's real people actively watching you. So placing value on those people as human persons with their own beliefs and aspirations and desires, and they want to be noticed too. That's one of the great things that separates streaming from conventional TV is the viewer is a part of the experience.
Yep.
They can direct what's going on. They can be part of the story of the memes that happen that day, and that's really cool.
Yeah. And whether you're streaming to like 5 people or 50 people or 500, it's like, keep it up. Don't let that number, I guess, discourage you. Because if you're only like, okay, I only have 5 people, I don't have to really try right now because it's just like whatever. Then those 5 people that are watching most likely aren't going to stick around to grow that ever. So you just got to do it because you like doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
Really put in that solid work and continue to do it. Don't give up. If you enjoy doing it and you're getting discouraged by the numbers, then I guess maybe, you can start to think of ways that you can get more visible, posting on Reddit more, or even going to other streams that, might be more engaging and just talking to the streamer, being like, hey, well, after a while you say, hey, I stream too, I'm trying to grow it. Don't be ashamed to ask, like if there's any way, potentially if you ever see me streaming to drop a host, I would appreciate it. But just to have that in that streamer's head, and if they're not villainous human beings, to be like, fuck that guy, he asked me for help. No way. I made it on my own. You not like that. But I mean, most sensible people will keep that in their mind. Like, okay, if I see this guy streaming, sure, why not?
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, it comes like a little bit later than just like initial 5 years, to be honest, but it's still something you can practice on. Is like connections. It's pretty important to know the other StarCraft people. Like, I mean, I think everyone agrees that like the best thing you can do for yourselves if you want to be involved in esports or a streamer or general streamer thing, that is just be a cool person. So like,
or a really terrible person.
Okay, so there's a couple of people that can get being a really terrible person, but I really feel there's a cap for that. All right.
Yeah.
Like, I think we all know who we're thinking of. Okay, and no one's gonna actually like go out of their way to help that guy whenever he needs help.
Freaking
Or
vibe.
her.
He's such a dick. I hate that.
You don't know who I'm talking about. But even the people who are like dicks on stream, so let's like talk about like Idra, right? Like he was like technically a dick on stream, and like some of his like thing is that he's a dick to you, right? Like, oh my god, Idra called me like a BM motherfucker, like yay. It was my dream come true. He was actually really nice in real life. Like he was actually pretty chill, and he would work with people, and he tried to work on his mentality. So you can do that and, be like polite and learn the whole like, hey, can I take a minute of your time? I want to talk about X and Y. Thanks for a minute of your time. I'd like to talk to you later. Goodbye. Learn that little like shtick right there, and you're already like 1,000 times better than the guy who's like, can you host me, please? Why aren't you hosting me? God, I'm a bitch. I'm like leaving.
Oh man. All right. I think that's a lot of good advice, and I think a lot of it is like not super new for people, but sometimes you have to hear the same thing over and over and over and over again before it clicks that like hard work and get to know people are two of the most important things in esports. But I want to jump into that Reddit thread. I'm going to make a dangerous move here, and I'm going to dredge up a couple of questions, and then we have one call in, and then we'll be ready to wrap it up. So Revenge Toaster asks, what type of content do you really enjoy producing? Does it receive the love you believe it deserves? That's a tongue twister. And would you abandon these projects? And I think he means in the context of like lower viewer counts than maybe stuff that you're not quite as enthusiastic about. So I think that's to everyone here. So I'll start it off with Tempo if you want to give us an answer.
All right. So, I mean, I love the content that I do. I really, really love making music. You know what I mean? Like, and I love making the videos for them. It's definitely my favorite thing to do. Just creating something, putting it out there, and just hoping for the best. Like even if it doesn't get a crazy amount of views, I'm happy that I did it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think I don't know. I guess I'm not really practicing what I preach because of some like the songs that I put on like SoundCloud and stuff. I'm afraid sometimes that if I don't release it with the video, then will it like take away from when it does get released with the video. So if I put it on SoundCloud first and people have already heard the song, so then I put the video out and it's like, I already heard the song, whatever, and the video I already you have a group of people that might not watch it. So I remember that really did mess with me a bit, but I've noticed that it's caused me to not even put anything out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think uh, I just should go back to just doing what I love and making it, not really worrying so much about who's gonna watch it or check it out or the numbers at the end of it, like when I do a video for it or something like that. So out of everything that I've done, I think that's probably my favorite. Although Twitch is really fun, I really like interacting with people. Anyone that's met me at events probably know that too. So I don't know, that creative, that I really, really miss it, I would say.
All right. Zombie Grub. What content do you like producing the most, and would like low viewer numbers kind of push you away from doing content that you really loved?
Oh, I really like talking about StarCraft, if that isn't clear, but in a like a more detailed way, I guess, is like casting. You have a bit of a showmanship aspect to it. Not my favorite part, to be honest. I think it's like a lot of people would guess that. I like talking about it with players and friends and the details of what programmers think. I like the esports aspect of it. So I also like the history aspect of it. Anything that I think of doing, like the build orders or the history of StarCraft or the general idea of esports, I'm not sure there would be anything that I would do that I would love to do, and then if only 3 people watched it, that I would be like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm trying to think of it. Honestly, I would actually say casting. I would probably be one of those departments for me. So if I started doing my own solo casting on my own channel, like of different VODs or whatever, maybe I like ask people to bring them in and I cast them and no one watched it, I would just be like, hey, I like casting, but this is not worth the lower viewership.
Yeah, you want some kind of response, or at least some kind of reaction to what you do. You put in work, you're really passionate about it, and it's like, damn, like
Yeah.
my mom commented, and
My mom
just some guy on the internet that said
My mom.
And it's like, damn, that was bad, man. So,
Yeah, I haven't gotten anything that's gotten like so much like backlash or like unresponsiveness that I've just been like, fuck this.
mhm.
I don't know.
All right, and then Nura, if you want to round us out, is there any content that you especially love making? And then is there anything that like you love making that you might not do if kind of the viewership is lower?
I think with esports being such an emerging market, being kind of a risk taker is an advantage, where it doesn't hurt you too much to try stuff. Usually, if you're building a channel or you're building a brand, you're already making an investment in loss. So it doesn't hurt you that much to try a new video type, and if it doesn't get views, then rip, move on to a different project or adjust your project in a way that would make it better and more available to people. So I would say, like the comedy type of videos that I did earlier on, I would like to keep doing more of those. But when I made them, I wasn't quite as established as a mentality person. I was like an idiot in a tree who was shirtless and shouting. And that's kind of the first impression that was made. And I think going back to that would be pretty fun. And I will make some more like comedy content like that. But my strength is more in the performance and speaking aspect. I'm not a very good video editor. Like I just got Adobe Premiere. So as you can see in my most recent video, my cuts aren't super great. So that's kind of a thing where I take the constructive criticism and it's like, all right, I'm trying to get better on this front, but I kind of see where I'm going with it. And you just have to like put your head down and keep going, even though some of it isn't going to be well received.
Cool. Our next question is going to be...
Just do you. Well, speaking of you, I did that. Well, first of all, speaking of risk taking, I did something. I remember it was on 420, and I did the Because I Got High remix. And I was like, I have no idea how this is going to do, but fuck it, let's do it. And I got so much, like, some of the most positive comments, like, yo, Temple, really putting a positive light and like some really good things can come from just being like, you know what, this might, I don't know, because people, don't really expect me to go into these different kind of tangents. Like, it's usually just defined to the game. I might go into a little bit of BM, but when it comes down to like other stuff like that, how well is it going to be received? Is it going to like tarnish my image, or is it going to make people look at me different? But
Yeah, no one that plays StarCraft smokes weed.
no, what I'm saying is, it was really, really difficult. It was really cool.
But this next one comes from Lycan. It's basically just a quick yes or no. Did Region Lock give Neeb and other top-performing players the experience they needed to hone their skills in the later stages of offline play? Or is Neeb an anomaly? And if we just maintained the pre-2015 format, he would have dominated, and then Foreigners they're only doing well because of the lack of Koreans. It's not because they're any better than they were last year. So I guess I'll start it off by saying I totally think Foreigners are better. I mean, you can say the WCS system didn't have a good goal, but it seems to have accomplished its goal of bringing the foreign level of play a lot closer to the Korean one.
Thermal talked about this extensively in his post after he won a major event, and that was that before the region lock, it was really difficult for a foreigner to make it deep into the tournament. Like, they would get knocked out in round of 32, which, to our point earlier of the stress and anxiety of being at a big event on stage in the finals, that's a lot of stress, and it takes practice to get better in that stressful environment. So for the region lock experience, you do still have Koreans in these foreign tournaments, but it's fewer. So more foreigners can practice getting deeper in big tournaments with more on the line. So I think it was helpful. Also, like, being on the Korean ladder helps a lot as well.
All right. Zombie Grub, do you think WCS helped foreigners improve, or was Neeb just... Would he have done better anyways?
I think Neeb would have done better than any other foreigner anyway. His mentality is that of like in the way that he practices and the way that he thinks about practicing is totally like the Koreans. But I think that skyrocketing to first at Kespa Cup was in partial benefit to the WCS system. I think in general, foreigners are better due to the WCS system. I think that it achieved its main goal, which was to increase the visibility and just availability of tournaments so that foreigners could get better. I think that in doing so, they entirely forgot that maybe they should have also babysat the Koreans, and in that way it has failed. But and the foreigners, they did a great job.
And then Kwame, if you want to round us out here.
No, I think definitely. Just at least coming from at least what I would assume is going on in most foreigners' heads that do practice now, they feel like the time that they're putting in and the practice that they're doing is going to be a lot more beneficial and could lead to something more than it would have in the past. Because I think, what was the interview with, was it Thermal or was it Harstem? I think it might have been Harstem saying like, just making it farther in a tournament, or just that motivation to even practice enough and care about it.
That was Euthermal.
Was it Euthermal?
Yeah. Okay.
Like, to even think about it, going into a tournament and seeing Innovation, Solar, Beyond Maru, and a bunch of people are the Koreans that you think on any day I can never beat these guys. It's just not going to happen. So I'm going to go in here and hopefully I'll get, a top 16 and be that breakout foreigner by getting top 16 in this tournament. It's a lot more inspiring, I would say, going into a tournament and really unlocking that potential inside of players to really want to win it and say, like, this is realistic. The confidence to do it. I think, seeing it nowadays, being able to go to these tournaments and play in them and actually have the possibility of getting fourth place, has pushed them to practice harder and in turn get better at the game. And that shows because, when they end up playing other players like Beyond, like me playing Beyond, and Snoot, even, who's always been a hard worker, playing against other Korean players, you see that at least nowadays it's not as far, as it used to be, the skill gap between the two. Maybe just because they've been putting in more work, whereas before a lot of foreigners didn't feel like it was worth it to really put in a lot of time. So I think it helped them in that regard.
Rock on. All right, so this last question before our call-in comes from Ravi. And guys watching the stream, the overlay is probably going to go crazy during this as our call-in joins us. I'll work to fix it as quickly as possible. But yeah, so this question is actually from Fear Dragon, who wanted to call in but was stuck at work. And he said, how do you handle setbacks in content production? Either stuff you worked hard on not getting the views you wanted, opportunities, or other opportunities going to others. So Zombie Group, if you want to take us in for that, if you have any thoughts.
No, I was arguing. What?
Oh, so this question, this question is from Fear Dragon. He asks, how do you handle setbacks in content production? Either stuff you worked hard on not getting views you wanted, or opportunities going to others.
Okay, I can see it a little better visually. Okay. Okay, so I guess in terms of views, getting stuff the views I wanted, I don't really mind because I am starting off just as the startup YouTube content producer. I guess for StarCraft, the tournaments that we produce, I don't know. If Ting Season 2 finals didn't do as well as Ting Season 1 finals, and I super set back and disappointed. Not really. There's definitely some aspect of both reassuring yourself and being actually true, in that you just sometimes have to chalk it up to StarCraft being StarCraft. Okay, we tried, but this was a bad month, or this was right after a WCS event, or StarCraft's not as popular as it used to be. So I'm just saying on that. When I think opportunities go to others, so I guess casting jobs is probably what he's thinking of for me, or maybe YouTube producers get signed with Root or something like that, right? I don't really mind that much either. Sometimes I really disagree with the choices. Oh, I was like, you just turned into another person. Anyway. But usually, and talking to the likes of Fear Dragon, to be honest, helped me realize that the whole deserve word is really questionable. So if I don't think they deserved it, maybe I am right. Maybe 99% of people would agree with me. And then maybe it's just well, clearly I wasn't doing the right type of content to appeal to the person that hired them. So whatever.
All right. I want to throw the question to you next, Tempo. And guys, I'm just fixing the overlay for the call-in, if viewers are wondering what's going on.
No problem. Yeah. No, I think it has to do with at least staying humble about it. Whenever I make something, I've learned to just not assume anything anymore, as far as how the viewership is going to be. I mean, it's been a little bit. I think the biggest example was the Just Hit Play one, when I made that, I did put in a lot of work to it, and doing the video was my first time doing lyric video in the way that I did it. But I just didn't really set anything and say all right, no, in 2012 I got 300,000 views on this, so hopefully this is gonna make it right there and then and there. So it did really well for what I expected at the time. I wasn't exactly sure what to compare it to, so I didn't actually put any numbers on it specifically. And I know it's not really the best answer for it, but I think, at least from my perspective, the way that I dealt with it was by not having anything to really be disappointed about. It was more so just, I did this, and I just hope that, it does what it does and helps people ladder better. And, the response that I got from it was actually pretty positive. So, I didn't, it wasn't as good as my other videos, as far as the numbers, but I still got that same satisfaction of, what actually came from it. People yo, I appreciated that. That was actually really cool. So I think most time I was disappointed was when I did ASL on Ding It. And that was one of the things I'm well, I hope people, tune into this because it's really, really cool StarCraft 2. But since, it had that aura around it and, nobody really wanted to watch it or download that plugin, I felt like I was putting a lot of work into it, and, not that many people were actually tuning into that. And it was out of my power, I felt like. So I don't know. I think I just dealt with it in the sense that I just let it go.
All right. And then Neuro, I'm going to throw the question to you last. How do you deal with setbacks in terms of content production, not getting the numbers you want, and then not getting opportunities?
I would say it starts with a question that you can ask at the same time as when you lose a ladder game, which is, what could I have done better? If you put forth something which involves some of your effort, we as imperfect people make imperfect things. So if you understand the nature of why your product isn't succeeding as much as you would like, then you can put in work to polish and refine it on that front. So content creation shouldn't be so much, this is me, this is what I do, here you go. It should be, this is what I'm currently putting out, and I want to be constantly evolving to produce better and better stuff over time. And a lot of that depends on feedback, and we can use data of unsuccessful products as sort of results that can inform how we decide to direct our effort moving forward. So if we make some content, people give feedback that they don't like it for these reasons, we can adjust that, or we can direct attention to other projects. Being able to accept failure and to factor that in and move forward effectively is a really important skill to develop for content creation or life in general.
All right, and I'm just finishing fixing up Kwame, and then we'll let our caller VOJ ask his question, and then we'll wrap things up.
Gosh.
Actually, here, VOJ, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, and is it VOJ or Vaj?
It's Vaj, if you can hear me, that is.
Oh yeah, we can all hear you. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and ask your question, that would be awesome.
It's a bit of a long-winded one, so I'm just gonna get it out there. It's related to your little rant that you mentioned earlier about the content thieves on YouTube, and it's probably going to be a little bit of a controversial view, but it's something that a lot of my friends, especially because I'm really vocal about StarCraft to my friends and saying, oh my god, Legacy of the Void is fantastic, they'd go and search up StarCraft themselves, and usually the most popular videos, like you said, are the ones from these content thieves, and they'll end up saying, oh my god, this game was fantastic, and it's a game from, you know, either Base Trade TV or from GSL or from Pro League, and it's all like centered in this one YouTube channel. And my question really is, do you think StarCraft 2 has like a very wide platform kind of thing? Do you think it's too hard for people that are, you know, not into esports too much or not into StarCraft 2 too much to find all these VODs of really cool games? Do you think we need something like the CSN website kind of conglomerate all these games, all these VODs together? Or do you think having separate channels for Pro League, Base Trade, Total Biscuits, StarCraft and things, should they be separate or should they be together, something like these thieves are doing?
Well, I can tell you off the bat, there's legitimate content aggregators. The best one I can think of is SC2 Links. They do a pretty good job. Occasionally they link to that channel, but usually it's when you get like a funky thing like WCS Copa America, where it's not necessarily easy to go find the VODs. SC2 Links generally links back to official channels. It's spoiler free, and it aggregates pretty much every medium tournament and larger. I don't know if anyone else has any other input on the topic of
I would say the topic in general is not just a problem in StarCraft, it's a problem for content creators of all kinds, especially with Facebook ripping. So a lot of content creators will make something original, they'll put it in one place, and then people who find that funny will post it on a bunch of different platforms, and they'll get a bunch of revenue from that, even though they weren't the original creator. So there are people who will go to YouTube, rip a video, upload it to Facebook, and then get like revenue from that, which is theft and it's wrong. So one thing that people can try and be mindful of is if you are either a creator or a consumer, try and give credit where credit is due. And if you want to support someone or enjoy someone's content, try and do it in a way that benefits them directly rather than the way that is necessarily the easiest. Sometimes you have to make a few extra clicks to get to them and make sure that they see the return on their investment that they made, which it took them time and effort to do.
Yeah, Jessica or Tempo, either guys have anything to add to that?
So you're saying would it be better to have like literally every StarCraft 2 video on the same?
Well, something like how early on in WCS, do you remember how they kind of put them all on one stream for a decent amount of time, like 2013? They put them all on like the BlizzCon.
They had a WCS portal where you could grab every game.
So that's sort of what I'm saying. So like, since we've already got a WCS system now with like DreamHack and stuff that's connected, should that all be on like one channel instead of split amongst everyone? But then somehow the money needs to go to the people who are casting it and hosting it and things. It'll be more difficult, but it'll be way easier for people who aren't really into StarCraft 2 to find these things.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
It's an,
I think there's aggregation,
Yes.
but like I think when it comes to actual content creation channels, it has to belong to the creator. Like that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I wanted to add like the closest thing recently that I think was or is successful at that was a CSN or is CSN, right? Like something like that where you can go to one place, be able to watch all of these different things, consume all of this different content, and have it be the central place for people to like newer people, especially I think. That might not necessarily want to search all around and like dig through the depths of the internet and to find like the some Husky 2 SE2 video. I think it's tough though because you have to find someone that is going to create that in the first place. So it's hard work to actually keep up with everything and make it there while being fair to everybody else. So I think I can see where you're coming from, Vaj, where it's really convenient for someone to be like, oh, okay, SE2, I don't know the name of the place that you guys were talking about that steals it and just has it there. And it's all there from different tournaments. It's not necessarily just, one tournament. They can just watch all of these different games on one channel. That's like convenient, right? Like ideally.
I mean, yeah. It's a really complicated issue because, like, the first thing. Oh, sorry. Did you finish your point?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that, like convenient, but doesn't necessarily mean that it obviously is right or fair. If someone
better.
Everything and say, yeah, man, it's here. This is better for the people, but like they're profiting off of it and not giving credit.
Yeah. The first thing that's a problem with having someone that doesn't just like combine links and send you to different places and actually having everything that's like officially under the StarCraft. Because imagine like StarCraft 2 had a website where you could find every single tournament over $100 or something like that listed. The problem is not just figuring out how to deal with the payouts of like, well, they came to StarCraft 2's official channel, so we should get like 10%, right? Even though you did the original content. It's also a lot to do with like sponsors. Like, do you think DreamHack and IAM really want to share a place to put their videos, even if it's the same game?
Yeah.
Maybe they really don't. And maybe they literally can't because, one is sponsored by Asus, the other one's sponsored by BenQ or whatever another monitor is. So would it be better if StarCraft 2 could do that? Probably. Like, I imagine eventually they'd be like, oh, those Bayshore TV guys have, like, they dominate, like, 90% of the fucking videos. That's too dramatic. But the point is, like, eventually they'd come back to us personally, or they'd always look for us personally, or anything else here. But it would be way too complicated. And then, of course, there's the oversaturation argument as well, I suppose. Which is, like, they'd have to have a really good search system. Search by popularity, search by game, search by race, search by matchup, search by shoutcasters, search by league, search by prize pool. Be a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Just thrown at you constantly. So I don't know.
I would agree that it's definitely an issue, especially gathering resources for players. Currently, it's fragmented among the separate content creators. So you could find a build order guide from Loco, there's dailies from Pig, but these are all in separate places. And people kind of have to stumble upon the other ones rather than necessarily having some centralized hub where they can figure out this is where I am, this is what I need, and this is where I need to go. Versus like there could be an excellent example of a scenario in a base trade TV game of how to respond to a scenario, but for them to find that, they would have to accidentally arrive into that game or have someone tell them by word of mouth. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that Blizzard probably has to do if it's going to be in a regulated way where people get some fair recognition for their content, where they can say, these are the community members in the scene who do these things, so if you need this, go to this person.
All right. Well, I think, thank you for your question, Vaj. I think that's going to do it for us. And I'm just going to start our sign-offs really quick here. So I'm NSG Joe. You can find me on Twitter at NSG Joe. If you want to help with the channel, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button. We have Cheeseadelphia 3.5 coming up at the end of the month. That's a $700 LAN. Should be a lot of fun. You get $5 off registration if you come in a costume. So hopefully it'll be the best StarCraft 2 tournament ever. Yeah, that's all our stuff we've got going on. Nura, what's going on with you?
Well, I'm working on improving. A lot of my streams lately have been more try-hard oriented, where I'm focusing on getting better as a player, which kind of balancing that out with content creation, it does take daily effort and work to say, all right, right now I'm working on trying to be better at Zerg rather than necessarily making resources for everyone else. I have a weekly schedule that I introduced a couple months back where I have dedicated days for try hard or commentary, so I know clearly what I'm doing and the viewer can see that ahead of time. I'm still coaching, YouTube content is rolling, life is good.
All right, and Jessica, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at CG Gaming, on Twitch, Zombie Grub, and on YouTube. It's also Zombie Grub.
All right, and Tempo, last but not least, I'll let you take us out.
All right. Well, you can find me twitch.tv/tempo_sc with the 0. And it's about the time of the year with BlizzCon coming and a lot of cool stuff and storylines that we've had that I get back into my song mode for it. Like the more narrative stuff, so probably be dropping something or two before BlizzCon, kind of summing up what's happened, especially with Beyond and Neeb. Really, really cool stuff and inspiration, at least. I'll have to try to see what I can change up in my content and actually put it out there. So, yeah, if you guys want to check me out on Twitter, it's Team Tempo with the 0. And, yeah.
All right, guys.
Shout out to Storm Gaming.
All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, everyone, for coming on. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for coming on. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Adios. See
And I'm here because I've been chosen to be the Bud Light All-Stars.
It looks like 50 Cent lives here. Huge shout out to Bud Light for putting us all here.
Send me